Still at it. Chapter 11. My Life, Your Lessons. Knowledge shared through the experiences of a prison felon turned business founder. We're going to go ahead and finish it off, chapter 11 through 15. Chapter 11. Employment. Laboring to generate earned income. Employment is predicated on earning monetary income in return for efforts. We can't earn something by doing nothing. There are two conglomerating dimensions of employment. An individual could either be employed by an employer, excuse me, an individual could either be employed by an employer while in exchange working for a wage or a salary, or one could be self-employed with option to hire his or her own employees. Securing and preserving reliable employment is the singular bona fide way to net financial income. Untraditional methods such like innovation and entrepreneurship have the adroitness to earn income but can draw high risk with no insured guarantees. Employment can be gleamingly beneficial. However, some see stigma accommodated with employment. Excuse me. It's always real dry in there. Okay. Employment can be gleamingly beneficial. However, some see stigma accommodated with employment. I used to be one of the few who hosted negative thoughts, ridiculing employers and everyone else but I as to fault. Though I was educated enough as a young man about the importance of being employed and did work many jobs by the time I was even old enough to apply for my driver's permit, I had thoughts that employment would never get me ahead financially. My discouragement was flared by low minimum wages and how the average pay rate is hardly symmetrical to the cost of living, let alone to the things that I wanted. If you're young and naive from where I'm from, it's arduous to witness your family siege efforts to support the household when just outside the living room window, the jack boys, hustlers, and pimps are in the streets with money to blow, yet never been employed a day in their lives. These images gave me reason to believe that working a job stood for just over broke. How could I grasp onto the American dream with a yearly income of less than $20,000 a year when I could make that, when I could take to the streets and thumb through that same 20K in a weekend? Beyond my fin- Beyond my financial drawbacks to employment, and since temporarily pledging allegiance to the streets, I siphoned an ar- arbitrary cluster of pride that denounced any interest in me putting on a uniform and getting my hands dirty. My work ethic my work ethic diluted. Employment was ranked as the last option on my list of ways to get money. I wanted the check, but didn't want to give effort to earn it. Over time, I also extracted the infamous and bogus belief that so many use as an excuse that because of my marginal job history combined with my lengthy criminal record, no employer will ever hire me. Why go through the hassle of searching for employment when I can make a single phone call to get a pound of weed, ounce of coke, or jar of pills on consignment and run my own business today? These contrived provisions gradually drew me to give up on employment altogether. Unwittingly comparing employment to an illegitimate street hustle, I probed at the short-term gratification without factoring in the long-term ramifications of the two. My pristine decision to choose to allied employment was latterly refuted to have languid repercussions. Employment at a fast food restaurant versus a legitimate street hustle. Employment. Working 40 hours a week at $8 an hour earns a gross income of $320 a week or $14.80 a month. A percentage of each check is funneled to pay taxes. No risk, contingent that I show up to work on time and give effort. It is agreed upon that I receive a stipend at the end of the week. Street hustle. To match the same income of 320 a week will require less than 1 hour of total effort. 100% of cash revenue remains in the pocket. Succumb to the risk of deal going bad or the law intruding. No guarantees. Naturally, the street hustle points to outrank employment, and due to the earnings versus effort ratio, it also looms to be worth the risk. As time elapses, the circumstances simultaneously deviate. Employment awarded a raise in wage, earning a paycheck with knowledge of where the next dollar will come. With proof of income, can rightfully own assets and property, file taxes, and receive a cash return. Street hustle. Overhead expenses rise, living day to day financially unstable and on guard for the worst. Without proof, damn, without proof of income, obliged to renting or under the table cash deals and purchases. Arrested on felony charges, all funds depleted. In the genesis of it, I was jaded by the visualizations of what could be until it was contended by the prim reality of what is. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Only a micro fraction of those who confide to a life in the streets will make it out ahead. The other 99% will quintessentially lament at the morbid aftermath at bay. Meanwhile, the calendars turn. Employment, promoted to managerial assignments, continues to collect a set income and started a retirement fund. Able to rub elbows with legitimate business people and network with official resources. Doors open and it feels as if the world is for the taking. Compared to the street hustle, assigned a DOC number, limited to trading commissary agro. In a world full of billions, discovers solitude, communicates with criminal entrepreneurs. Doors close, then lock, culminating the feelings of being forever trapped. So much for being too egotistic. So much for being too egotistically proud. So much for being too egotistically proud to wear a uniform. I'd rather volunteer. I'd rather voluntarily sport a burger joint's logo on a collared polo while getting paid a couple of dollars than to be forced to wear an orange jumpsuit while working for free. Needless to say, turns out being employed at a fast food restaurant is worth more than anything the streets could ever offer. Grand total. Employment, work ethic, healthy values, and confidence along with money in the bank versus the street hustle, zero in assets, damaged beliefs, and loss of integrity. Employment loaded me with more than just capital. It adorned me with purpose, independency, intelligence, and opportunity. Employment contoured my knowledge and my resume in ways the streets could not. The, the trick to efface the maiden dubiety, dubit, dubity, to trick, the trick to efface the maiden dubiety, is it dubity? Dang, I don't know how to say it. The trick to efface the maiden dubiety of employment is passion and patience. I didn't fancy every job I ever worked. Frankly, I detested them all the same. It was the day that I was hired into an industry that I was passionate about was when work stopped being work, but became more adjacent to a potential career. A career is a profession that one undertakes as a permanent calling. In the pith of a career, patience is a virtue. One can anticipate a legion of career changes in their lifetime before deciphering one that suits best. My, my ultimate passion lies in innovation and entrepreneurship. Employment was a great stepping stool that ushered me to where I am today. Working under an employer insulated me with general knowledge for creativity, punctuality, and decisiveness, while my behind the scene experiences educated me with the specialized knowledge of business mounted on a corporate scale. The deeper I voyaged into the infrastructure of the corporate ladder, the deeper I marveled with passion to run my own corporation in the future. Your passions may contrast from mine. You may not want to take on the pressures and headaches that come about with being an entrepreneur, but you may still wish to reign in a laudable career, which by the way is totally presumable. It is not uncommon or rare to find a well-achieved employee earning a 7 to 8 figure salary while giving effort in something they love without brooking the appropriate risks. Look look at our favorite athletes and musicians. For the most part, they all travail under an employer, yet earn enough capital to feed a small village. LeBron doesn't sign his own checks. He has an employer who does. Contingent that he does his job, he is remer, remunerated, remunerated with pay, no risk. Then we can take a shark like Mr. Damon John, a well-achieved entrepreneur to say the least. He pays his own salary, but he pays his own salary, but has publicly expressed that he was no stranger to being broke while striving to do so. Every occupation has its peculiar perks and pitfalls. I wouldn't alienate one career as being better or worse than the next. To each his own. Maybe being unemployed floats your boat. I don't see how it would, but that's up to you to cipher as well. It's levels to this stuff. Ingraining the precise depth, pride from one occupation can promote us to a more prestigious position. It takes time and patience. There is a rendition of learning curves aligned with all careers, and I believe it is more coveting to learn the ropes and experience the curves as an employee set over against learning as an employer. Why not know the industry inside out before personally undertaking a financial and reputable risk? Chances can be limited. In the real world, sometimes we only get one shot. I attribute my prevalence in commercial business to my compound of miscellaneous job titles, including my toil in the streets as a hustler of all trades. Thrusting fresh off the block into the corporate world, we are pre-engraved with dextral and neurological accolades that a bevy of the population will squander top dollar to amass. Our course of action coming out of this environment is not to cry out, poor me, because whatever didn't kill us only made us stronger. Our desire, our devoir as the young nation of tomorrow is to exert our given qualities, talents, and characteristics in a mannerism that graces us with an advantage to overreach the competition and cues us to blissfully earn longevity and success for ourselves and our families. Stow efforts into your passions, and with patience an upspring of accomplishments will transpire before your eyes. Don't knock it till you try it. We already did everything else. Now let's do something new. Breaking away from old habits and going legit could turn out to be the best move you ever made. I know it was for me. Chapter 12, Parenthood. providing unconditional love and unlimited support to your offspring. Becoming a parent is a cinch, so simplistic that we can be inserted into parenthood unexpectedly, changing our lives in as little as 9 months. Those who are unable to consummate children of their own have the legal right to adopt children to parent as if they were, regardless of the biological status of a child and how they begot here on this earth. I believe each and every human is entitled to having parent figures as a part of their lives. Not saying this is always the true case. However, even if the relationship is distant, the fact of loving someone enough to recognize them as mom or dad is priceless. As adolescents, we all had role models we looked up to for whatever the reason. Athletes, entertainers, politicians, family members, neighborhood influences. As parents, it is ideal to be the figures our young ones target to emulate. Any man and woman can make a baby, but it takes a special soul to excel in the category of parenthood. My definition of a positive parent consists of a slew of qualities and values. Having an ardent zealousy to do anything for the children we parent is the utmost vital principle to oblige by. In my opinion, if one is not ready and willing to put their entire livelihood on the line for their young ones, then that person also is not ready or willing to represent as a positive parent. A positive parent is a dependable and sensible guide who publicizes compassion, demonstrates communication, bolsters safety and health, coordinates emotions, promotes integrity, instills healthy MVPs, and contributes love. The ultimate goal of a parent is to raise a genuinely happy, healthy, productive, loving adult who embraces morals, values, and self confidence. The purpose is to allot our next generation independence and identity. Most importantly, to guard these goals, a positive parent is physically present. Children mimic what they love. Be there, provide, educate, console, love. Unfortunately, we all know that no one is perfect, and I would be the first to divulge that. December 2015 is when I was released from the heinous shackles of the penitentiary. By that time, my son was already 6 years old, my daughter a mere four, and at age 25, I allowed my destitute choices to will my physical presence away from more than half of my children's total existence. Incarceration, amongst other circumstances, incubated my latency as a young father. I was still yet to put my negative and unhealthy patterns to a join. Early 2008, age 19, I turned myself into the Ramsey County Correctional Facility after receiving a 57-month dispositional departure via Judge E. Wilson. I pled guilty to first-degree aggravated robbery. The deal included I commit to 20 years of probation and serve an initial 180 days of jail time. At the time, I was young and green, and young and green to how the system worked. So all I knew was that I temporarily avoided going to prison for 48 months, which was the original deal. I say temporarily because as it all was said and done, I was convicted on new charges and, and served all 57 months after later executing the entire sentence. So there I was, no more than a month into my initial 180-day sentence. Just as any other day, I jumped on the phone for a 15-minute call to check in with my grandma and girlfriend. However, this time the conversation with my girlfriend was a bit different than any other previous. This was the day that Sarah informed me that she was pregnant with our first child. I was overfilled with excitement. At that moment, I intended on being an active and positive parent that will provide by any means for my child. Thus, if there were a time for me to straighten up my life, this was as good as any. I was a 19-year-old soon-to-be father with my whole life ahead of me. Though upon conclusion of my first stretch behind bars as an adult, I chose to return the exact arbitrary thinking patterns and behaviors in which corresponded to my original demise. My son, my son was born later that year, and after failing to comply with my conditions, and with sorry, my son was born later that year, and after failing to comply with my conditions of release by ignoring my mandated 270 hours of community service, as well as amassing continual run-ins with the law, I rapidly netted myself a probation violation that ultimately landed me right back in the possession of the county. Time is time is of the essence. I lost a little more than 6 months out of my life during the stay, and the timing couldn't have been any more diabolical. First off, though I was present for my son's birth, I was absent for early stage bonding time with him. Then, 2 days before my release date in October 2009, my grandmother took her last breath. My release was bittersweet. The greatest person in the world had the greatest person in the world had left this earth. The greatest person in the world had left this earth. Yet on the brighter side, I was reunited with my newly born son. This time around, upon my departure from Ramsey County Workhouse, I made it a point to become more of an active father in my son's life. Sarah and my son Darian would frequently spend several nights at a time over my grandparents' house with me so we could be together as much as possible. For a while, I was active, positive, and physically present. For a while, I was active, positive, and physically present as a father. I was consistently working a job and using the majority of my income to provide essentials to my young dependent. Children are indeed awfully expensive. Amongst diapers, clothes, food, and medical insurance, parents can expect to pay an astronomical amount of dollars each year raising a little one. What the fuck? Fortuitously, fortuitous, for, Fortuitously for me, I had help from Sarah as we undertook the journey, together as parents in the situation. While everything seemed to be thriving, I still yet could not entirely part away from my addiction to criminal thinking, nor ostensible, the ostensible, the ostensible, nor the ostensible easy money and unrestrained lifestyle that I craved to gain from it. I continued to sell drugs, gamble, steal, and anything else that would grant me the means to flourish for an instant. I attempted to justify these habits by using tactics, such as magnifying, to divert my openly visible negative actions into a false illusion of something less sinister by telling myself I have to engage in these undertakings to permit a better life for my son. In actuality, I was thinking and behaving selfishly with a dearth of vision towards the bigger picture of being a positive parent and true predecessor. Early 2010, I received more baby news from Sarah. We were going to we were going to be having our second child. Once again, I was tremendously joyed that I had been blessed to bring another life into this world. On the same stage as my elated, on the same stage as my elation played my distress. I desperately wanted to be a positive parent. Conversely, my ra- my raven my raven ravenousness my ravenousness and infatuation with keeping up with my own pretentious lifestyle was the impetus to my distorted thinking and unhealthy habits. Unwilling to extricate from my disparaging thinking patterns, I sustained my oxymoronic belief that the negative frequency I was transmitting throughout the universe will phenomenally benefit my family and I. My son was outgrowing clothes by the week, soiling diapers by the hour, and eating meals by the minute. In addition to those analytics, I had less than 9 months before welcoming in another newborn to the family, or welcoming in a newborn to the family. Considering the fiscal circumstances, I grew relentless with my transgression in an attempt to satisfy my standard of living as well as to provide for my offspring. A couple months after the second pregnancy announcement, I was arrested and detained in the state of Wisconsin for my role in a counterfeit money scam. Once the charges filed, my grandfather posted my bond, allowing me to refute my case from the outs. Grandpa always had my back no matter the situation. At this time, I was still mid my 20-year probation in Ramsey County, Minnesota, with Ramsey County, Minnesota, and had roughly 30 plus months yet to serve if I were to violate my conditions. One of those conditions was for me to notify my probation officer about any police contact. The best thing I had going for me was that I had not been convicted of any charges. However, leaving the state while on felony probation was enough to violate me on the spot. In the wake of meeting with my PO, I was relieved to have been given a break with no violation, reliant upon the judgment of my pending Wisconsin hearing. Already knowing how slim the chances were of me getting my entire case completely dismissed, I coerced my public defender to assist me in delaying the proceeding, the proceeding process for just about as long as we could. During the continuation of my court dates, my beautiful daughter Taylor was born, only 1 day shy of sharing a birthday with my beautiful grandmother Patricia. Following Taylor's birth, my court hearing came to a conclusion. I was originally charged with uttering a counterfeit, a felony. However, agreed to plead guilty to a lesser charge of receiving stolen property, a misdemeanor. This plea deal came with it no initial jail time as well as a 5-year probation. Remarkably, after relaying the final results of the court to my remarkably after relaying the final results of the case to my probation officer, I received a blessing as I was told by my PO that he would not be recommending a violation for this incident. In my mind, I foresaw arresting agents waiting for me at the door. So to hear this news from the horse's mouth was undoubtedly sobering. I carried on by continuing to work my part-time job while at the same time whelming myself in negative and illegal activities. During this span, I became much less active in my children's life, and my relationship with their mother began to diminish. The less active I was with my offspring equaled the more active I was with my unhealthy habits. In addition to reducing my presence with my kids, I was also doing less to support them financially. The streets consumed my time as my gambling and chemical addictions pulverized my profits. 4 months behind my daughter's birth, my name was given to the St. Paul Police Department as a suspect of an alleged assault. I won't share details, but I will say no charges or arrests were ever legislated. Impetuously before impetuously before knowing impetuously yeah, there you go. Impetuously before knowing the fate of the situation, I was under the impression the circumstances would not be in my favor. So I made a heedless decision to drop everything and run. In less than an hour, I had packed my bags, organized a ride, changed my phone number, deleted my social media accounts, and was on the expressway en route to Fort Dodge, Iowa. By going on the run as a fugitive, I forfeited my job and violated my probation as collateral. Worst of all, I came to be totally inactive as a parent to my children. Post arriving at Fort Dodge and spending a few nights isolating myself immersed inside a cheap motel, I got in contact with an OG from St. Paul named Mark, who was at the time just so happened, who at the time just so happened to be the general manager of a cable television company operating out of Des Moines, Iowa, and was recruiting new sales reps. Mark extended me the offer, and within the next 48 hours was at my room door to pick me up for my first day on the job. I had never personally met Mark before this day. I only knew of him I only knew of whom he was through mutual connections, so I definitely avoided exposing my runaway status to him. But as we got more acquainted, he progressively gained my full respect, and I couldn't stand to keep lying to him about my story. Mark and I canvassed the neighborhoods of Des Moines selling digital cable for about a week before I communicated to him the true reason why I was living out of a motel in small city Iowa. Rather than judge, rather than judge, rather than judge me and turn his back, Mark was there for me when I was too stubborn to listen to what anyone close to me had to say. Not only did Mark look out for me as we continued to serve cable to the people of Iowa, but most importantly, he shared his wisdom and encouraged me to get back active in my children's life. I remained in Iowa truant from the authorities as I commenced the effort to rebuild my relationship with Sarah and the kids. Each passing day separated from my young, my heart will grow fonder. For about a month, I traveled back and forth between Des Moines, Iowa, and St. Paul to be with Darian and Taylor on the weekends. Gradually, as time intervened, the assault allegation predominantly that was predominantly responsible for accelerating my whole eluding charade officially settled cold and closed its files due to a lack of evidence. Even after being exonerated from the burden of presumption, I was in debt to both the hamper of certitude, as I still was wanted by Minnesota's judicial system for violating my terms of probation. As much as I wanted to gad free with my family, I couldn't in fear of the police tracking me down. Therefore, co-parenting emerged as a preeminent proponent in I supporting my kin while perching cloaked from the law. Co-parenting describes a parenting situation where the parents are not in a marriage, cohabitation, or romantic relationship with one another. Sarah and I were together as a couple, but lived separately. She and the kids lived in a place of their own, and I was jumping state to state, place to place, staying wherever but where I needed to be, and that was at home with my sprout. It is a child's right to retain a limitless quantity of equal support from each parent. Neglecting one's own parental responsibilities or inhibiting the opposing parent from an opportunity to be active will only hurt the child. Children should never be used as pawn to seek revenge on, extort, or enrage the other parent, saying things like, I don't ever want to see, I don't ever want to see you or the kids again, or you'll never see me or the kids again, will only hurt the children. If two parents cannot cordially communicate and agree upon a suitable visitation schedule or determine an appropriate monetary contribution amount amongst one another, then family court may be the best alternative to mediate the details. I believe a positive parent is active with their seed from adolescent to adult, regardless of circumstances. For our children, any battle is worth the battle. If anyone deserves it, our children deserve it. There is no greater reward. My activeness as a father was marginalized after the inevitable transpired. I was pulled over as a passenger while riding with a buddy who had suspended license and who had also forgot to turn his headlights on. Despite confidently reciting a false identification to the officer, I was still brought into Washington County detention for fingerprints. The flight frenzy was over. I was transferred from Washington County detention to Ramsey County detention, then to Ramsey County Workhouse to serve a 1 year sentence for my profusion of violations. My fight to engross relevance as a dad trekked on. Joining parenthood holds an everlasting membership. My experience of fatherhood so far can be described as a one-way journey to happiness that occasionally bears rugged terrain but reaps an abundance of joyous treasures along the way. I'm still on that journey. My expedition can evolve as per I do or as often as my bruised neck stomach ache. No matter what comes next, my goal is to be a positive and active parent, father, and dad will always be my priority. No matter what comes next, my goal to be a positive and active parent, father, and dad will always be priority. I could not and would not consider myself a man if I didn't know in my heart that I did and will do anything and everything in my power to actively support and raise my kids. All children of all nations deserve a pair of solid parents. Teach them early what we learned late. Building strong family builds strong communities. I don't know about you, but I don't want my litter growing up in squalor and violence. I want the best for mine, and hopefully you do too. Play your position. Our next generation needs our devotion. Chapter 13. Finances. The value of a dollar. Finance is the binary study of managing and acquiring money and valuables. Cash, credit, and assets are used as byproducts to finance endeavors and exchanges. In company of the exchange and management of money, the barter trading system is also a type of finance. At present, we cannot imagine a world without finance. Obtaining and maintaining available resources is the prerequisite to assessing physical resources which are needed to perform purposeful activities. Money isn't everything. However, its value is viscerally significant to one's survival in today's society. We can hardly put food in our stomach without possessing the appropriate resources to finance it. Shelter, clothes, transportation, and other day-to-day activities all require finance. Being broke is a humbling experience. The void of adequate finances galvanized my appreciation for the value of a dollar and motivated me to extend my support in creating opportunity for others. Succeeding prison, I chose employment over drug sales, and within a year of hire, I finessed my way through the administrative ranks of a multi-million dollar company to earn myself a generous salary as the consequence. Netting a netting a set income of such stabilized netting a set income of such stabilized me financially. I obtained cash and acquired assets, but failed to offset old debt and reestablish my contracted after a pet my financial resources contracted after a petty snafu in the workplace. Contracted. Oh, there we go. Contracted. My financial resources my financial resources contracted after a petty snafu in the workplace resulted in my severance from the company. The gist was funds were going out, but none was coming in. The trap was no longer a consideration of mine, so I attempted to patch my economic wounds with new jobs. The postings I landed showcased no merit, while the companies that did have potential mostly wouldn't hire me due to criminal record conflicting company policy. Frustrated, low spirited, and broke, I spent the next 4 or 5 months unemployed and unenhanced, harmoniously challenging the elevation of my own volatile validities. Fiscal drawbacks consented Fiscal drawbacks contested my productivity, my competency, my competency, competency, my competency to project an organic proclamation was proficient. Managing the funds to back these inklings was the protrude deferment. The money doesn't make the man makes the money. Dollars come and go because capital is a byproduct. Thusly, it is the power of the mind that outweighs the value of gold and coin. I had to chase the dream to secure the cream. The goal is pecuniary autonomy. Pecuniary autonomy. Work for the money, then let the money work for you. Secure cash, cop assets, and maintain credit. Credit creates leverage. As income rises, resist from raising your budget. Be frugal. Invest, manage, save your money. One day, your money might save you. Saving and investing cascades into wealth. Spending on liabilities brandishes memories of what used to be. Respect your FICO score. Our credit history will be with us indefinitely. Establish a sturdy foundation and build. Do not demolish. Creditors don't forget. I continue to pay the price for financial decisions I made in my premature adult years. I used to sign up for everything my social security number could get me approved for, then omit the bills. So when my peers were upgrading their properties and my advancement steadfast, I stared at a credit report blemished with outstanding balances and knew the reason why. Nothing's free out here. Conduct research and educate yourself before binding to any agreements. Read the fine print and understand all contractual terms and conditions in full. If necessary, consult legal counsel. Comport square business. Integrity. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you borrow something, pay it back. Revolving and installment represent two types of credit. Revolving credit or a line of credit such as credit card is open-ended and is mostly used for everyday purchases. Installment credit is a closed-ended loan often involving larger stakes such as a home mortgage. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are the three governing bureaus that can serve our credit reports. Credit reports contain information that is supplied by lenders, our own person, and by court records. Delinquent payments can motion creditors and lenders to close one's account and sell the debt off to a collection agency, leaving negative marks on your report. Credit reports are said to be updated around every 30 days. It is suggested that we review and keep tabs on the accuracy of the activity pervade throughout each of the three bureaus. Approach credit with attentiveness, modesty, and good intentions. A reputable FICO score is to be venerated, not forsaken. Don't let a temporary shortage of funds deter you from your ultimate goals. Craft additional goals to incur the available resources. Put faith in your will to find a way. Never let poverty defeat you. I implore you to digest these caveats and always remember that there is much more substance to life than money. Okay. Chapter 14. Health. Possessing and retaining a clear, powerful, and stable mind, body, and spirit. Health. The condition of being sound in body, mind, and spirit. Our state of wellness can change from day to day, hour to hour, and for some by the minute. But to obtain optimal wellness is to actively engage in the dynamic process of moving towards crowning our full potential. Health is on a continuum, and death is what's on the other end. The lowest marking on my gamut of health was penned during the moments anterior and posterior to my grandfather passing away. My physical, mental, and spiritual well-being disintegrated at a hasty velocity as I formed an environment brimmed with affliction. Sleazy street values, baleful addictions, deficient finances, and inactive parentage emboldened my ill demeanor. One of my most emphatic core beliefs is that I am a winner. The confidence I have in my capability to reach divine excellence in all that I'm associated with is the force that obtrudes my substantial standard of potential. I hate to lose, even more, even more so when I know subscribing to my full potential would have clinched the victory. My health crisis initiated spiritually. I was sick because my grandpa was sick. My grandma was gone. My mom and I were distant. I had no confidants. I was feuding with Sarah, and I was missing my kids. I had no one to communicate with. I felt empty and alone. Dry tears. Sometimes there's times all I want to do is cry. Every time that I try, my eyes are always dry. Emotions tend to run high when certain thoughts go through my mind, like memories of family, mostly of the ones that died. Other times, my kids and mine, they are both my joy and pride. It hurts me deep to know that was gone and missed most mo- that I was gone and missed most of their lives. Still, then my tears hide, every feeling kept inside. If only I could shed a tear, I let it lie until it dry. A poem by Michael Durrell Coleman. My emotional reaction to these circumstances crumpled me mentally. I thought I could make everything right again, but the more I failed, the more mentally agitated I became. Concentrating on controlling ordeals that were out of my control was the paradox of my mental state. Also, rebelling against accepting tragedy as my reality, when my reality was tragic, was another enigma. These ailments then saturated me physically. Drugs that numb the pain damaged my body's internals. Fisticuffs to release anger got me a taser to the face. Crime to get money put a target on my back. My life was becoming a travesty. Nothing was going right, and I was uncertain of what would come next. Lifeless. My heart's heavy and my soul's empty. I feel so alone, it's like no one's with me. I believe this moment here must be God's test. I'm so filled with emotions, I'm emotionless. I'm turning cold, all I do is mean mug. The devil's talking to me, telling me I need drugs. I was living by the second, now I'm dying by the minute. Just hoping that I don't, and wishing that I didn't. I'm to the point that I can't even trust myself. So how the fuck am I supposed to trust somebody else? I built a wall with no plans to tear it down. Submerged inside my thoughts, trying not to drown. Sometimes I start walking with no destination. Voices in my head provide the conversation. Other times I sit still, my mind blank. Thinking so damn hard it's damn near hard to think. The good times are all just memories. The future is a mystery. I'm afraid of what's ahead of me. Anxiety is killing me. I'm tired of this shit. I'm pissed. No one understands the pain I feel. I'm praying for the day that I can finally live a life that's real. A poem by Michael Durrell Coleman. With no set plan, a new active warrant, and a pending dope case, I purchased a one-way ticket to Atlanta, Georgia, to get as far away as I could. Literally, the same second I unboarded the bus, I got a text message from my mom saying that my grandpa was called to heaven. I was weakened. The last thing that I wanted to happen happened while I was more than 1,000 miles away from home. Now, my next issues weren't just how I was going to make my way around a foreign state. I also had to deal with the heartache of losing a soldier and the remorse of not being there by his side. I stayed in Atlanta until later catching a bus to my grandfather's hometown of Columbus, Ohio, where his funeral would take place. I was in bad shape. My all around health was unsound. Earth's surface is lined with unhealthy people, places, and things that can counter our potential. Our health should not be compromised for anyone or anything. I've been toe to toe with depression, low self esteem, anxiety, and self doubt. To alleviate the dejection from these distinctive mental health calamities, I had to challenge myself to replace pessimism with optimism and adjust my vernacular from I can't do to I will do. Conversation rules the nation. Communication is therapy. Even a lone quibbling rant can be therapeutic. If you got it on your mind, get it off your chest. Untreated bottled up energy has caused me to implode and act out of character while exemplifying out of body experiences. Vocalizing cynical thoughts can extract poisonous feelings that could burst into worthless actions and beliefs. Just as outlining unwanted feelings can help corral a new cadence of thought, in which can sabotage the osmosis of disastrous habits and beliefs. So, vocalizing cynical thoughts can extract poisonous feelings that could burst into worthless actions and beliefs. Just as outlining unwanted feelings can help corral a new cadence of thought, in which can sabotage the osmosis of disastrous habits and beliefs. I get it. Some floodgates are wider than others, decreeing openings for actions to stream out. Any segment of behavior that has already been exhibited cannot be erased. The script must be edited in preparation for the next take to produce the corrections for healthier results. Replay the scene in your mind to identify and challenge the dire thoughts and feelings you cradled during your stunts. Having knowledge of this information will reinforce your direction of replacing old habits. A success log, which can be referred to in the appendix on pages B1 through 7, with a list of distortions. So this is kind of like an activity part. Identify, well, this is an example. Identify a thought and behavior that you successfully challenged this week. Also identify the thinking distortion and feeling that you experienced while you challenged your thoughts and behaviors successfully. Fill in the blanks. Example, I was thinking, a thought, I may never get my business off the ground. After the event, my finances became scarce. I identified the thinking distortion behind my thinking was jumping to conclusions. I challenged this distortion by creating new goals. I felt feeling uplifted upon completing this change successfully. Behavioral side. Action behavior. I doubted myself. After the event, financial setbacks. Identified the thinking distortion behind my behavior was emotional reasoning. My plan to challenge my thinking distortion and correct my behavior is to remain optimistic and keep faith in my will to find a way. I felt the feeling empowered upon completing this challenge. I felt empowered upon completing this change successfully. It's for the person here to fill in the blanks for themselves. Something they thought about and had to get over, and something they did and had to get over. Every day is a new day with a clean slate. Welcome in health and happiness. Meditate with affirmations to discern tranquility. Love yourself. Laughter is medicine. Self-control is strength. Right thought is mastery. Calmness is power. It's a quote by James Allen. Nurture your temple. Eat a balanced diet. Exercise and upkeep good hygiene. Let go of negativity and trust your higher power. Serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Chapter 15, Success, the degree of achievement. Success. What is success? Success is divine. Success is nirvana, bliss, happiness. Success is measured within the eye of the beholder. The components that abet my prosperity may not enthuse yours the same. However one paints the image, success is a staple we should all yearn for. How does one attain success? Success is imported from ambition, sacrifice, discipline, and consistency. Success is not handed out. It doesn't happen on accident, and it cannot be purchased outright. Success must be acted into existence. When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. A quote by Eric Thomas. Is success limited? Will it expire? Success has no ceiling. There is no cap to the quantum of success one can assemble. Never mind a critic. We dictate our own success. Therefore, success will only expire when one perceives that notion as a reality. Until then, one success is one success and cannot be revoked unless accepted as the truth. By systematic design, a great number of us have had the odds stacked against our success for a long time now. This muse is what makes the degree of achievement that much more delectable once sustained, once substantiated. Value and valueless values was the catalyst that supplemented my search for success in all the wrong places. More recently than not, I value success as being about materialistic items and fruitless clout. My gullible perception on society enriched the belief that everything wrong was right and everything bad was good. If you don't believe me, go ahead and take a look outside. Turn on your television or browse the World Wide Web, and then you tell me what agenda is being fed to us and our children. I'll wait. Wake up and smell the coffee. To ascend from our current state and reign in a true lasting success, we have to reprogram our intellect and seize the opportunities in which have been hidden from us in plain sight. Our oppressors have been successful thus far because they have sacrificed ethics and been disciplined to consistently promote nonsense and lies to manipulate our minds and free will. The best slave is one who thinks he is free. A quote by Saul Alinsky. Constantly, consistently, oh sorry, consistency. Once consistency is interrupted, success is no more. We as a people have the power to end the success and break away the stronghold of the system by opening our eyes, unlocking our minds, and taking back our freedom, both physical and intellectual. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. Luke 8, chapter 17. What's that? Luke chapter 8, verse 17. A true lasting success is an achievement that cannot be taken away or interrupted by any outside circumstance, person, or group, but one's own. Long as we have our MVPs in check and only sacrifice the bad to reap the good, then the duration of our success can last until we choose to vacate. Being a successful salesperson is admirable. However, being a person who sells drugs is to no avail. Today I have found my truth as I continue to prey upon my success. It will not be until my beliefs are as solid as my values, until I know my contribution to the community will change the conversation, strengthen and provide opportunity to the members amongst. I will not label my own success until the environment around me is first successful. It will not be until every goal that has been imagined has been surpassed and I prove faith to exist. I will not be successful until I reserve my power over addiction, until my level of communication is elucidated, elucidated with ease, elucidated, elucidated with ease, until my level of communication is elucidated with ease. I, Michael Durrell Coleman, will not have true success until my integrity is superior to which it was yesterday, and or until education is widespread with the truth. Still, I will not claim success. I will not claim success until employment wages outweigh the cost of living, until parenthood is no longer a hindrance for some, but a joy to all. My quest for success will linger on until the necessary finances are available to fund positive activities and the health crisis is fitted with awareness as well as treatment. Only then, when all of these issues are vindicated, will I maybe, possibly consider myself a success. But until that day, I ask God for his guidance and support. Author's outro. My experiences are dear. My life has been a treacherous journey, full of blood, sweat, and tears, high hopes and minimal fears. My mission is to find my own. My mission is to define my own, and never bow to what another says it is. I will always stand for something, so if I fall, it won't be for nothing. My genuineness is what I bring to the discussion. My heart and soul is free from corruption. What I present to you is me. I am, is all I will be. In the poem by Michael Durrell Combs. Writing this book has been a remedy to my recovery and the scolder to my change. The process itself induced my awakening, established new confidence, stimulated my wisdom, enhanced my faith, and empowered my drive towards a higher purpose. May reading this book influence your greatness. Stay prolific, and until you find your truth, keep looking. The appendix, thinking distortions, criminal thinking patterns, addictive thinking patterns, tactics, avoidance strategies, diversion strategies, aggression strategies, resources and inspirations. The Bible, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, Byrne, Burney, Byrne, sorry, by Rhonda B. Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Napoleon Hill, New Dimensions Treatment Program, Faribault Correctional Facility, www.annualcreditreport.com, and Merriam-Webster Dictionary and Merriam-Webster Thesaurus. Contact page. Get a hold of me, Michael Durrell Comer, the founder, chairman, and CEO of MDC Elite Brands Incorporated, founder and CEO of MDC Literature Group LLC, and founder and executive managing director of Find One Guide One, 501c3. For one-on-one group mentoring or motivational seminars, contact me using the information posted below. I look forward to seeing you soon. Visit our website. Give us an email. MDC Literature Group connects a worldwide network of writers and readers together by developing, publishing, and distributing best-selling titles. If you are an aspiring or experienced author who would like assistance in developing, editing, publishing, or distributing your literature, contact Michael Durrell Comer via email or call me direct at 612-462-8753. If you are a business that would like to partner with MDC Literature Group, we offer wholesale pricing, book readings and signings, event hosting, author meet and greets, promotional advertising, your brand, our books, workshops, and seminars. If you are an author and would like to partner with MDC Literature Group, LLC, we offer formatting, editing, publishing, marketing, distribution, above average perpetuities, quick and transparent payouts, online and in-store presence, enrollment into our worldwide network of writers and readers. Thank you for reading with me. Thank you for being a part of this. And on to the next task.